aspects of this show and kind of where that came from, and for the actors, how you approach playing that, because it's really prevalent in just, I mean, not just the obvious, okay, you have a religious character, but sort of in some of the imagery and things like that, and maybe how that affects how you look at the story and the characters. Anybody that wants to answer.
I'm not an actor, but
Yeah.
there is religion. I think it's more about faith than it is about a particular religion. It's about looking for a solution. It's about trying to reason out an argument that you can't process yourself. I think that for me, that's what religion is. I don't have a religion of my own, but I kind of respect people that lean towards that. So. Yeah, I don't. You know, the religious imagery in there, I think, is attached to Leanne as a character. I think it's her belief system that she's been raised in, and yeah, I feel like it's very strong. I feel like there's something mysterious. There's something that I would never kind of say nothing does or doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
You like that one?
I like that was great.
Thanks, Nell.
You're welcome.
So I have a question for Lauren. Peeling back the layers of Dorothy's character, there's so much going on there. What was it like for you as an actress to kind of peel back each layer and learn something new? Were you surprised to learn anything about yourself as an actress as well?
Well, I just relish the opportunity to play this character. I feel honored to get to try to make, this, she's dealing with so much, and she's dealing with it in such a bizarre way, and the writing is so beautiful, thanks to Tony. Yeah, when I saw the script, I was just like, how on earth will I do that? She's so fragile. She's also so big and, presentational and type A, and trying to, everything is perfect in her life, and except she has this giant failure. The character breaks my heart. I guess just, for me as an actor, I work to make things as personal as possible, which is easy because on the surface, this character is a mother going back to work, and I've had that experience. But then, to figure out how to let all of her little cracks come out, and when there are cracks in the veneer, I don't know, just working with beautiful actors and incredible artists. It's been really fun. It's the best, to have a character that's it's such a challenge. It's great.
Kind of on the faith topic, there is like a hint of magic realism, I feel, in the story,
Right.
where it's like we don't know if someone's making these things happen, is a higher power, there's a house coming to life. So what is it like playing that aspect, and also for you, like, what does it mean to you to sort of weave that in?
Both looking at me. I think what's so great about the show is that you doubt everything that you see, and you can start the episode firmly believing that my character and the things that are happening in the house are because of one thing, and then you'll end the episode thinking completely differently. And I think that's fun to play for us, is that we sort of give you something and you're like, this cannot be explained, but then we explain it, So I think that's kind of the to and fro of the series, is you think you know what you're seeing, but you really don't.
Right. And different characters might experience the same exact phenomenon in different ways. One might think it's a miracle, and one might find an actual real life explanation.
I think that was, from the writing process, it was always, how do you present a story that can be viewed in two different ways? Is it, it comes down to you as a viewer. Do you have faith? Do you believe in miracles, or do you question everything you see? And that's where we divide the characters and the audience at the same time. So you should be able to watch this story and think, wow, my God, miracles are happening. And at the same time, you can look at it and go, that young girl's really exploiting this family in their desperation. So are you watching a miracle, or are you watching a crime? It kind of has to work on both those levels, which is challenging, but I buy it.
How do you
the fun
write?
of it.
Oh, sorry. How do you write and play so that you were always, working with those two lines? Like,
With great difficulty. It's about finding stories that play into characters' hopes and desires, and at the same time questioning what's in front of your nose. How you do it, I don't know. I mean, there was never a point when Knight and I discussed this very much at the beginning, that everything that happens, there has to be a logical explanation. Otherwise, you're just in fairy tale land, and then anything can happen. And then there are no rules, and then you lose track. As a writer, you're like, I don't know, a unicorn lands and takes a dump on the table, and then like, it's like
That's
you can't.
episode 8.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't do that as a writer if you don't have rules and restrictions. Then you can't even begin to do your job.
It seems especially in this genre too,
Mm.
like in the world of thriller, which is new to me, but that like the rules have to be set up.
Yeah, very much. So you don't cross a certain line, and if you do, everything collapses.
So I feel like, you know, after binging through the whole season and being on the edge of my seat after each episode, it
You've
was
seen more
just,
than I.
Yeah,
it's
me too.
it's absolutely brilliant. And what are your plans for like I feel like, you know, with the final episode, without spoiling anything, there's obviously more to come, and now I'm like, oh my god, how long do I have to wait for this? But like, what are your plans like for more seasons and things like that? How far out do you have the story planned?
Yeah, there's always an end game, I think, with writing, but I try not to specifically say I know every single step,
Okay.
because something happens in every episode that I learn something new about the characters, or something I find a crack in there that is worth burrowing into. So yeah, there's very definite forward momentum going into season 2. We know what's been lost, and we know what the characters are striving to regain. So as long as there's always that, you see the desire in the characters, there's more story to tell. And there's, as you know, at the end of season 1, there's a lot for them to get back.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lauren, Dorothy makes a lot of comments towards Sean, kind of about his sexuality, not sexual orientation, but sexuality, and that's kind of one of the main conflicts in their relationship that comes up a lot. So, is that something where you interpreted it as they want different things as far as intimacy, or do you think it's more so they're distant because of the trauma that they suffered in their relationship?
Well, surely Tony could speak more to it than I, but and what his intention was, but yeah, I mean, I feel like they're this couple, and they have this giant crack that they're trying to, you know, this awful fissure that has happened in this tragedy in their family, and they're trying in different ways to fill it, and they need different things and want different things, and want to acknowledge what's going on in different ways or not, and I suppose with a couple it would come out in every aspect, including in their sexuality. I love that they're kind of brutal to each other. I mean, that's awful in a marriage, but pretty fun on a set. In our best moments, it feels like an Edward Albee play, you know, and you know, we're all trapped in this house, and which is very much a character, and so it's like everything is just resonating and shaking, and I don't know.
It's a lot of
like
tension.
The sexuality is part of it, yeah.
They're also, you know, with regards to the sexuality, they're also kind of like 3 months on from just having a baby. And, you know, and things change, physically change. You know, your relationships between the husband and wife change as soon as the baby comes along. You know, you have to deal with each other in a very different way, and your focus is on something else apart from yourself. So, yeah, I think it's changing. And I think Dorothy doesn't quite understand why a lot of these changes are happening, and why Sean is being as more protective than usual, because she doesn't really know what the experience has been.
Mm.
What is it like for you as an actress having to play that? Like, there's so much that that your character doesn't know, that you obviously do know because you've read the script.
Right.
And then, of course, everyone around you is like trying to protect you in different ways, and you're kind of oblivious to it all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody's in their own story in this. Everyone's like in their own channel, and yeah, Dorothy's. I mean, yeah, on the surface, I'm playing this working mother going back to work. You know, has my news reporter and my career, and what's what's fun to me to play is like where the cracks come through in that perfect veneer. You know. I don't know. It's not particularly I mean, it's like, it's great writing and it's great actors to work with and amazing directors and like a beautiful set and an incredible DP and like all of the parts. I mean, Apple and Knight's company, like they made space for us to do our work as artists, and I mean, that it just felt incredibly luxurious, from the sets having every detail considered, from Knight's storyboarding every shot. I mean, from the rehearsals that we were granted and the time that everybody took to get everything, to, you know, make sure everything was as we intended it. It's just been like an incredibly luxurious process. So, you know, and same for me as an artist, like I was given my time and space to work. Yeah.
Sorry, last question.
Oh, so I just wanted to bring up, like, on a lighter note and everything, the newscasts that you kept on playing every single episode, they had a small little, they pertain to the actual, like, element of the story itself and everything. Did you mean for it to have that much of an impact in between every single episode, to kind of, like, lighten / also kind of give you the lesson of what you were trying to say for each episode? And what was your favorite newscast that you did, actually? So it's a two-prong, sorry. The last question.
I love how the newscasts fold into and highlight and underline moments and in the story. I think it's brilliant. I love that, Tony.
Good, thank you. It's
And I was the only one who got to go on location because I got to leave that house to go to shoot my
it's a
I went to a bowling alley once.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you were in the background of a shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm there.
For the most part, the other actors are trapped in the house. I got to leave sometimes.
I think thematically everything you can do to point back to what your story really is all about is great, and using television to show what Dorothy does all day, because we don't follow her.
Yeah.
That's the only insight we get, so we understand her mood. She walks in through the door in the evening fed up and smelling of sewage. It's because we know she's been down the sewage chipping at fatbergs. You know, it's kind of, we need that information in order to understand her, and so it's just a naturally logical way to fill that gap in. And the same thing happens with food in the episode. The food that he cooks reflects the mood in the house.
Can I ask Nell a question since she hasn't talked that much? Really quick.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
I'm curious because even when, without spoiling anything, even when the season finishes, we still don't know a lot about your character. So we see her do things, but we don't always have a clear understanding as to why. So did you get to be informed, you know, kind of outside of what's actually being shot on camera to know more about your character so you can understand what she's doing and why she's doing it?
I think every conversation we had, and me and Knight had, was always like, well, maybe. Like, they never definitively told me anything about Leanne. And I know as much as you guys. Honestly, I mean, we've had conversations where there's been thoughts as to what what's maybe going on, but they won't bloody tell me. But mainly because
But she's made lots of beautiful decisions in her performance. You can see.
Me?
Because you're very specific. When
You guys
you
got my
know,
back today.
you're very specific. So she's obviously made.
Yeah, I think I tried to figure her out as best as I could as an actress, but yeah, she's a very mysterious character. Yeah. She's stayed that way. But I have an idea of what's maybe going to happen in the future.
You know enough. You know enough before you're in death. You know.
Tell me more. Please.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank you.